Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, getting ready to start our Wednesday webinar. I welcome you here this afternoon. And again, as we mentioned last week, we hope that you are getting kicked off with your 2025 with great success. So thank you and Happy New Year to everybody again. We're going to wait just for a few moments here as we get things kicked off. Obviously, we got people that have been on and waiting for us to get started here. So I always like for people to continue to keep trickling on in here. But it's good to see Beth and David and Dorcas and Evans and Melee. Good to see everybody here so far that's showing up early here. I hope you guys are hope you're ready to learn something today. Today is really going to be more informational that you can understand about why doctors should outsource their billing in the first place. I mean, if you're going to get into a business, especially in a business opportunity, you ought to know why and if there truly is a market. And I'm going to share some information with you today that hopefully will help you guide you through that process. So we still have some folks still coming in. Elias just came in, and it looks like Andres. Alex, Stephen is good here. All right, so good people. Good to see everybody here. Again, we're going to give it just another 10, 15 seconds as we get started here. But today, again, if you're just now joining us and getting kind of settled in for our webinar this afternoon, I'm going to be talking to you what are the top reasons a doctor would outsource their billing. Now, with that said, I also want to remind you that the first Wednesday of February, I'm going to be interviewing a doctor. So you're going to want to mark that down on your calendar. So it's the first Wednesday of February. I'll be interviewing Dr. Vicki Rackner. And that's an interview that you're not going to want to miss there. Hey, it looks like we've got a good crowd here this afternoon. If I can just get everybody to go over to the Q&A box, just let me know where you're calling in from. Say hello. Tell me what city, state that you're calling in from this afternoon. I'd appreciate that. And also, if you'll just let me know also the maybe some of the reasons why you're looking to get involved in some type of business opportunity. What's your expectation? What do you think that you're looking at doing? And then if you also want to type in there, tell me the kind of the time frame that you're looking at. Tell me that are you looking in the next 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road? Just kind of share some of the things. Evan says hello, good to see you. Got Stephen from Michigan, Southfield, Michigan. Good to see you. Appreciate it. David is from Boston. Interested in improving back office administrative. Good. Evan's from Maryland, Randallston, Maryland. Beth is from Mexico. Might join in the next few months. Good to see you. Absolutely. Melee's from California. Andres is from Boca Raton, Florida, looking to start a new business kind of very soon. Good. Thank you. I appreciate all the feedback there. My name's Eric Ogier. I'll be leading you out this afternoon, hosting this webinar. Feel free to type in anything that you want to type in this afternoon. Some questions that you'd like to try to get answers as I kind of go through it. I'm going to let you hear from Dr. Vicki Rackner. She did a video for us a few months back. And I thought since I've announced that I'm going to be interviewing her the first Wednesday of February, that you might want to hear from her. She is a general surgeon who's written a book called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. She currently works with a lot of financial advisors who are dealing directly with doctors. But Dr. Rackner joined our team about 10 years ago in assisting our current group of business owners right now, many times making introductions to doctors for you. So here's just a little clip of her, and I hope that you'll mark down that date here. So let me see if I can get this going here.
Congratulations for finding the American Business Systems site. You're probably looking for a great business opportunity, and you have found one. I'm Dr. Vicki Rackner. I call on my experience as a practicing surgeon and entrepreneur to help doctors thrive. What I can tell you is that while doctors are smart people, they don't have a great business savvy. So the services that ABS offers can literally help doctors turn their practices and their lives around. This is a viable, growing market. Not only that, Patrick Phillips and Adam Phillips have a true commitment to the success of the people who joined the ABS family. I think you can't go wrong here.
Well, that's a little bit from her. Like I said, I'm going to be interviewing her in a few weeks. So just you might want to tune in and make sure that you're with us on all this. So I'm looking forward to actually having that interview with her. Let's see, Melee, how do I win the confidence of a doctor? He asked me, what is your experience level? Very difficult question to answer. Can I say I'm a part of MIRMA? How do I establish that credibility? Melee, absolutely. I can kind of even talk about that today. License from San Francisco, still evaluating if this is the right biz for me. I completely understand. Hopefully, by the end of the webinar today, you'll learn a little bit more about why doctors need to outsource. And then finally, Shirley is from Chicago. Uh, so looking forward to visiting with each of you today. So if you haven't met Adam Phillips, Adam's our CEO of our company. Adam is followed in his dad's footsteps in many ways. One of those ways is that he's written some books, several articles. I'm not going to bore you with all of that because it's the stuff that you can obviously get from your sales rep. If you'd like to get a copy of these, this is a great article, by the way. This was an article he wrote earlier last year that went into the Billing Coding Advantage magazine. Will the advancement in AI take over my job as a medical biller and or coder? So you're going to want to absolutely get that. Now, Melee was asking about MIRMA. MIRMA is the Medical Revenue Management Association of America, which you will be a part of as soon as you join forces with us here at American Business Systems. It is this organization that is actually head up, being on the board of directors. Dr. Vicki Rackner is on there. And it is this organization that will certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. And what this will do, this will create you being a part of the nation's largest network of medical billing companies. So American Business Systems has been at this for over 31 years now. So we've helped literally hundreds, if not thousands of people and literally thousands of doctors help get their billing under control. So anyway, you know what? I like to try to keep all those introductions as short as possible because I really want to get into the topic of today. Because I think that you're going to find out that this is really a good topic. It's not going to be so much to where you're going to be going through, wow, Eric is just trying to sell me on the system here. I'm really kind of peel back the onion here and kind of layer this thing out and what even makes this a business opportunity in the first place. You can kind of sit back and take some notes. If you'd like to, you can probably get a copy of this as a PDF. Just request this from your sales rep that you're working with here at American Business Systems, and they'll be happy to get you a copy of today's slide deck. This is being recorded, so if you end up having to leave early, don't worry about it. This will be on our YouTube channel by tomorrow afternoon, so you'll be able to go out there and look at it and do that. I'm going to be going over 4 major areas concerning why, what are the top reasons a doctor would outsource their billing. First of all, most of you are probably already thinking, doesn't a doctor already have their own billers? And they do. They're either going to be in-house or they're going to be outsourced. Doctors are doing billing currently right now. The problem about it is that a lot of doctors now are looking back over the 2024 records and trying to figure out why they didn't make as much as they had maybe in the years past, or they found out that they're still making less than that they've been making of what they think they should be making. So this is a good time for doctors to do a lot of evaluations of their medical billing and what's going on with their codes and so many other different things and some of the things I'll talk about today. But I thought I'd break this down into 4 different reasons why a doctor would be needing to outsource their billing. Just navigating the healthcare system itself is difficult. I'm going to go through that. What is the healthcare landscape? What does it look like? What are some of the issues that doctors are faced with that you're going to need to know about? And some things of these that I'm going to share with you today are going to be very advantageous when you start a conversation with these doctors. So be paying attention to that as I kind of go through that section about navigating healthcare landscape. The second thing I'm going to go over is compliance and risk management. Folks, if you have ever been in healthcare, compliancy is a huge area filled with landmines there, and mitigating that risk needs to happen here early on in a year's time, because now is a time when doctors are evaluating their HIPAA compliancy rules, making sure that their policies and procedures are in place, making sure that everybody's gotten trained and retrained. Do they need to change people who are carrying certain passcodes, and are those people still here? Do I need to update these types of things? Those are some of the things that doctors are trying to deal with right now as well. Third thing is a financial impact. Really, I kind of think of it as, what is the health of the doctor's revenue cycle management? This is where we're going to get into how do we find that out? And so doctors are trying to figure out again, what is their financial impact going into 2025? And then finally, what are the cost benefits analysis? What is the doctor's return on investment, and what does success look like? So folks, if you walk away from today thinking, wow, this is a business opportunity I think I'd like to be in. Hopefully, these things right here are really going to help you really kind of zero in on why this is really a good business opportunity in the first place. So, let's first talk about navigating the healthcare landscape. I mean, this is a big deal for those that are in healthcare. You certainly know what I'm talking about. Every day brings a new challenge. Patients are sick. People are getting sicker, it seems like, all the time. There's a lot of people are going to the doctor now. Um, it used to be said when we were doing these webinars earlier, early on, that at one point there were over 10,000 baby boomers turning 65, which were going on to Medicare, which is just overloading the system. Matter of fact, I was talking with somebody earlier today of how new providers that are getting into healthcare, they're not necessarily getting into healthcare to become a primary care physician. So let that sink in for a little bit, especially for those that are a little bit older and you got a little gray hair like I have, and you're trying to think who's going to be my primary care. And I'm telling you, most of the primary cares that are out there are older people, and those folks are getting tired themselves. They've been at this a long time. They've been at it from a business standpoint. They've been at it from a medical clinical position. So we cannot ever lose that group of primary care physicians, because it's from that primary care physician where everything kind of begins. So that's where people get the referrals to go to a specialist, and then from there, maybe some elective surgeries and who knows what else. But through all of that, there's claims that need to be filed, and make sure that claims are being taken care of and that they're not falling through the cracks, or claims that have been filed and rejected. Who's going to take care of those? So you can imagine the weight that is on just a simple primary care physician is unbelievable. So one of the things that we want to first take a look at here when navigating the landscape of healthcare, some of the challenges that doctors are facing, there's always evolving regulations that they're having to deal with. Everything from the complexity of billing and compliance and codes that change. Listen, codes change mainly at the beginning of the year. There's always updates and new codes and add-on codes that need to make sure that they get on, and so these things can be somewhat challenging going from one year to the next. And especially that's why I'm trying to talk to you today that are on here. This, for those that are looking to get involved, now is a perfect opportunity, because we can get you through the training within about less than 2 weeks, and have you start marketing to doctors really within that 2 weeks, and you're going to already understand what some of these issues are. Now, for those that are thinking about getting involved in this and you're going, I don't know anything about medical codes, that's okay. Part of your services that you're going to be delivering to doctors is going to come across in two different services whenever it comes to coding. These are all handled by professional coders, certified professional coders. There are obviously those on the front end that might, if a doctor really does need help with coding and really what the updates are coming into 2025, we can help those doctors with that. We can also do an audit on some of the doctors' claims that they did in 2025. Let's make sure that they're not undercoding, which means that they're leaving money on the table. And certainly we don't want to make sure that they're not overcoding, to make sure that they're asking for too much that could end up being what is known in our industry clawed back from future payments. And so the last thing we want to keep that doctor right in the middle there. So one of the last things we would ever want to happen in this complexity of medical billing compliance is that they're not undercoding and leaving, like I said, money on the table, or they're not overcoding to where they're going to run the risk of some of these future payments that they're going to get that money clawed back into the system. So that's one thing that's challenging doctors right now. Now, granted that a doctor may have a biller in their office, but it doesn't mean that that person's keeping up with everything either. If you, I don't know the last time you walked into a doctor's office. The doctor's offices are pretty busy. And to have someone there in that doctor's office that's doing medical billing, and they're probably doing registration, and at times if somebody's not coming in, they're also helping the doctor prep a room, doesn't give that person the advantages of keeping up with everything. You can, as a getting that billing outsourced out of that doctor's office. So you can see here, these are some of these top reasons why doctors should and would outsource their billing. The second thing here that I want to share with you is the rising costs. The administrative cost in and of itself, the burdens of that it impacts a practice's profitability. Now, again, some of you might be thinking, well, it's probably more advantageous to have the doctor employ someone to do their billing. That's not always the case. Again, those people that work in a doctor's office that are doing billing, they'll tell you they can't keep up with everything. They would actually love the assistance of an outside biller. And that's what we see a lot of times, is that the doctor doesn't literally let that person go. That person becomes more of a liaison to work with a outsourced medical billing company or team there to kind of help through that. But what that does is that where these rising costs of administrative burdens come from is whenever that person that works in that office, let's say that they're billing 25 to 40 claims a day. Well, outside of that, there's going to be a certain amount of those claims that will probably become rejected. And so when those claims come back rejected, they're trying to still keep up with the new batch of claims that are going out, and monitoring and managing the revenue cycle management part of it sometimes can get pretty tedious, and there's happens all the time. 15 to 20% of claims that were rejected or denied, many of those never get refiled. So that's just money left on the table. Can you imagine 20% of your income being left upon a table simply because it wasn't processed properly? That's what happens. So that's where the rising cost kind of comes from there. And then the shifting focus, the emphasis on value-based care and patient outcomes. Now, this next little section I'm going to talk with you about is what is value-based care? Because you might scratching your head right now, being brand new in all this, you're going, what in the world, what is he talking about? All right, so let me kind of lay the foundation, then we're going to get into what is value-based care. When typically, in the way things have always been built out, is what's called a fee for schedule or fee for service. Okay, so it's basically you're going to the doctor's office, and depending upon what's your problem, the doctor will be reimbursed based upon that particular visit. Okay, that's where typically everything is. But there's this new shift for what's called value-based care, and basically what value-based care is the healthcare delivery model that's supposed to reward physicians based upon the patient's outcomes. Okay. It encourages these physicians to prioritize the quality of service they provide to each patient rather than the quantity. Okay. So let that kind of sink in a little bit. So basically, in on the surface, it really sounds great because the doctor says, you know what, if I can be a little bit more proactive with my patients and do some things that Medicare and some of these other things tell me that I can do to help my patients have preventative medicine, then I can get reimbursed by keeping these patients well better. I'm trying to figure out the word I'm trying to say here. That the patients are less sick. Okay. If I got a patient that has hypertension, blood pressure issues, or diabetes, and I'm trying to control their their diabetes, there's some proactive things I can do to make sure that that patient is improving with their known disease. Here's the catch: patient compliance. Okay. So what happens here is that when you've got this value-based care, this proactive instead of reactive, because that's really what happens now is we're more reactive. We go to the doctor, we won't feel well, so the doctor treats us. They bill a fee for service, FFS, and so they're getting paid on what they saw that patient for. So and so these doctors are rewarded more for keeping these patients maybe out of the hospital or from seeing going back to the doctor's office more often. They're being paid on a proactive way. Now, again, that sounds great until you've got patients that are non-compliant. What are you going to do with that? So here's the challenges. What happens is that there is a complex reporting requirements that increase the administrative costs. All this sounds great, but the doctor has to do more reporting than what's typical. Okay. So the doctors are trying to meet demands already. They're probably already behind in collections. So already, obviously already they're being challenged already with these certain issues. And now they've come up with this value-based care system, and then that creates more challenges. Okay, so I'm really trying to paint this big, broad information that you need to know why a doctor would need to outsource their billing. The second thing is that it's delayed in payments outcomes because they're measured. There's measuring periods here. So imagine that it's kind of like getting the cart before the horse or vice versa. In order to be paid on measured outcomes, it's got to be through a past measured period of time. So they're not going to get paid on people that they're seeing currently because they have to go through some measurement period. So they're delayed payments, okay, is the challenge there. And then finally, the financial risk for poor outcomes, even if it's outside the doctor's control. That's where I'm talking about patient compliance. So it all sounds great. I think in a lot of ways it works for some. It makes the doctors more engaged with their patients, that's for sure. But I'm telling you, it's a very difficult way to navigate. So when we're talking about navigating through the healthcare landscape, these are the things that doctors are challenged with quite often. So this is why I'm trying to share this information with you. Now, I know there's some questions that have come in here. So before I get to all those questions, just be sure that I'm going to get to those and I am going to not let those questions slide. But the information I want to give you, I want to kind of keep it concise. So I'm gonna keep going on to the next part here before I start going through so many questions. But feel free, if you're going to ask a question and it's something about value-based care or about healthcare landscape, can you put that in your question? Say, Eric, this was pertaining to when you were discussing something about healthcare landscape or this next section that I'm going to get into. All right, so this next section that we talked about earlier is compliance and risk management or risk mitigation here. So again, these are some of the issues that doctors are faced with right now. There's a lot of issues that doctors have been faced with in the past whenever it comes to compliancy and what's the privacy health information of each of these patients. Some doctors are very, very conscientious about this. Some doctors don't even think twice about it, or not even think about it. And so there's a lot of what I would call laziness whenever it comes to compliance. Okay. I'm sure you've been at a doctor's office and you walked up there and you're going to check in and all of a sudden you see patients' names and there might be a chart open and all of a sudden you see a neighbor's name there that you find out that they've got some disease that they probably don't want anybody else to know. Those are what we're talking about. And how are doctors mitigating that risk? Are they allowing their staff to have smartphones back behind the glass? If so, are there policies and procedures in place to let those people know when they can use their phones and when they can't use their phones? And then if they're going to take a happy birthday picture of their staff, what charts are open? You see what I'm saying here? How many of you thought about that, even being on this call right now? So these are issues that doctors are having to deal with whenever it comes to compliancy and risk mitigation. So one of the things that they need somebody that has this type of expertise. Staying abreast on the evolving healthcare regulations. Folks, this is important because this changes throughout the year. If you were to go to some of the sites that we keep up with, that kind of shows what doctors are have violated HIPAA issues and how much money they're being fined, you'd be going, gosh, this is more than what I expected. So share with you about some of the solutions here in a moment, but these are some of the danger areas that a doctor's office, even if they've got a biller in-house, is not keeping up with all of this. We do and we can for our business owners and for their doctors. Data security. Now, a lot of data security is being fixed because a lot of doctors have moved all of their patient information to the cloud. Now, obviously through the cloud system, there's still data security risks that are there. So do they know when was the last time that their current system that they're with, when was the last certification that they've gone through their own risk mitigations for that particular billing software or electronic medical records platform? Obviously, folks, people that the platforms that we use for our doctors that we do billing for and for storing all of their patient data is always up to date on all their certifications. We can have those for you at any time. You're going to want to have those for your doctors as well. But protecting patient information through HIPAA compliancy. Now, again, that's more than just what's in the cloud. It's the files and paperwork still that are there in the doctor's office. Just because that a lot of stuff is in the cloud doesn't mean that it's not accessible through a file or seeing some information talked about or over talking in an area where you're not supposed to be talking about patient information. So that happens quite often. And then lastly, are the how to reduce those risks, minimizing billing errors and audit issues. So we can help out with that. Now, one of the services, now I've already mentioned to you, obviously you come here because you know that we do medical billing. So that means that we've got a system, and I'll talk about that system here in a moment. But that kind of goes right along hand in hand with the electronic medical record system that goes with it. But folks, we've got other services that can go along with it. Matter of fact, one service I didn't even talk about with that healthcare landscape, if doctors are doing more of a value-based service like that, we can actually help the doctors with that because we have a service called virtual care that can actually help those doctors manage people's diseases remotely. But what about HIPAA compliancy? So we have a service that's called Compliancy Guard, and this is a full turnkey service that you'll be able to offer the doctor. You could offer a doctor this starting as soon as you sign up with us. There's not a whole lot of training that you need, except that doctors, you've got to know right now, doctors are under the gun within the next 2 to 3 months trying to get their HIPAA compliancy world in their office situated, because every year, annually, they have to take their entire team through a new set of training, and then plus all the new people that they brought on at the last part of the year that they've had to go through some type of HIPAA training. And then because that office has to keep up with incidents reports and who went through the training and when was the last time they've gone through it and did they have any issues and who deals with their cloud-based system and all sorts they've got to have all of that information that if in the event that they get notified that they violated or if there's just a notice that they may have violated HIPAA rules or regulations, that somebody that they, and they're supposed to have a compliancy officer at each facility. Now, a little marketing. This is not about marketing today. This is really about just reasons why doctors should probably think about outsourcing, because an outsourced billing company can provide these types of services. All right. So, but you got to get that client, right? So let me share with you what I did usually at the beginning of every year, and that would be I would go out and let people know, uh, dropping off information like compliancy guard and stuff like that. But the way I would do it, I would walk into a doctor's office or go into some type of networking meeting where I knew that there were other healthcare professionals. And I would start asking the people around, if it's the doctor or someone that works in one of these offices, I just simply say, "Hi, I'm Eric and I'm with whatever company. Who is Dr. So-and-so's compliancy officer?" Or if you walk into a doctor's office and you just want to drop some information off, you're standing there at the front desk there, and you just simply introduce yourself and just say, "Hey, I'm Eric, and I'm with whoever I might be, and I just needed to get some information to the office's compliancy officer." You'll get an audience, I promise you. So I always use that to help me kind of break through that glass ceiling to get at least an invitation to come share some information with the rest of the staff. And I did a lot of times I did that for at no cost, but it did get me in the door and it won me a lot of business. All right, the third thing I want to talk with you about is operational efficiency, focusing on care. Okay, so this is one of those areas again where doctors just start to lose it because they're not able to really take care of the patients, because obviously they've got a lot of issues going on. So what they need is someone that's all they do is revenue cycle management. They need a dedicated professional. Now, I've consulted with doctors and they said, "I'm not going to hire an outsourced billing company. I'm going to have a biller in my office." And I was like, "Okay." So what you would need to understand is if you're going to do that, then make sure that you let that person do nothing more than revenue cycle management. That means think about them as outsourced already. You can't get to them during the day. Just let them do what they need to do, and you know, put them in a closet and shut the door when they come in the mornings, so they're focused on nothing more than your revenue cycle management. Then the doctors start to go, "Gosh, well, no, there's times you've already told me you don't want to outsource your billing, so that means you're going to have to someone dedicated." Well, sometimes I need them to do. I said, "Okay, well then you're going to fall in the same trap." So folks, that's just why you need to, again, we're going to help you with this information. We're going to teach you and share with you how to communicate this information to doctors. The other thing is about focusing on care is access to what we call cutting edge billing software and tools. Now, we just so happen to have that type of information. Now, let me talk to you real quickly. The difference between having a server-based system and a cloud-based system, okay? Hopefully, most of you already understand that. But a server-based system certainly means that a doctor has their own server in their office. Now, this is the way that software truly used to be sold, to where they had a dedicated computer server. It was in-house. It was all there. They didn't have to go to the internet. It would all be networked within their office, a very closed system. Really, the only way that you could get into that system is if you were on site. Okay. Now, at one point, that was the best. That was kind of like the gold standard of everything, because it's not on the internet, it's not out there, so you're good as gravy, as they would used to say. But you couldn't take care of business outside of that office. And you also, it was very costly because you usually had to have an IT team to come in and set up the whole network there and then maintain the security levels that need to be on that anyway. So we made a decision a long time ago, folks, to move away from server-based softwares to a cloud-based software. And we've been very successful with that for a very, very long time. And so we feel like that has actually helped us keep advancing in technology to where now our technology partners that we have to do for our billing platforms, they're already into artificial intelligence, which means that we're getting better data, we're getting access to things better, quicker. We're able to knock things out so much better as things go on. And then finally, it reduces the burden and freeing up that medical staff to really do what they do best, and that is taking care of patients. The better that an office can take care of the patients, the better outcomes that they're going to have, less sick people. The doctors are dealing more with the family members and the patients themselves and creating this world environment that the doctors are really taking care of them. And it's just freeing up the staff. It's just, that's what, listen, what doctors and nurses and medical assistants do in that office, they're doing that because not for the healthcare side of business, but they're doing it because they want to help people. But the problem about it is when you're trying to run a medical clinic where people are trying to actually help people, and those same people have to do the business side of healthcare, sometimes that's like mixing oil and water sometimes. So I'm just letting you know the more business of the healthcare side that we can get out of that doctor's office, the better that office runs. So one of those ways that we do that is obviously through iClaim and EMRX. And iClaim and EMRX will streamline the revenue cycle management process, encompassing everything from the patient registration and concluding with the final payment. So everything's encased. It's encased in the cloud, but accessible for you and better. And we got AI working in the background and helping it and helping with codes and all this. So let me kind of pause here just real quickly and let everybody know and remind everybody that if you haven't had the opportunity to get with your sales rep here at American Business Systems, as soon as we get through with the webinar today, be sure you contact them either via text or email and tell them and remind them that you want to see a demonstration of the iClaim EMRX platform. No cost to you to sit through about an hour long demonstration of this. I think that will help you really understand some of the things that I'm talking about today, kind of pull some other pieces together. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see a demonstration of it, you're going to want to do that. Plus, what you're going to learn from that is that once you go through that demonstration here with us, this is the same thing that you can expect whenever it's time for you to share the information with your doctor, because the doctors are going to want to see the software as well. But the great thing about it is you can start that today, with us today. You might get a doctor interested here pretty soon, but we are going to be the ones to do the demonstration. We do that. And still today, for every 2 that we do, we're closing at least 1 of those every time that we do a demonstration for our business owners here at American Business Systems. So you're going to want to take advantage of setting up with your sales rep now, getting 1 or 2 underneath your belt so that you really get a good understanding with that. All right, finally, financial impact, improvement in revenue cycle management. Basically, what's the return on investment for these poor doctors here of having their billing outsourced? Number one, there's a huge cost savings. There's actually becomes a reduction of overhead and staff expenses if they just simply get that out of their office. Now, doesn't mean that they're going to fire anybody. It just means that they may reallocate people in their office producing more. Okay. And so obviously the more that they produce, the more that they can bill for, so they can get people freed up and doing what they do best. And that's, again, seeing patients. But we can help them reduce some overhead and staffing expenses. And we have helped doctors go, there's some positions here that you really just don't need. What if you're saving $45,000 a year on personnel that you don't necessarily need, and then increase not only put that $45,000 back into your business cash flow, but then because of that, we've actually increased the amount of claims that are being processed, We've reduced the amount of claims that are being denied. So, doctor, you're making more money, and I'm going to show you how that's reported, and there's some reports there. But streamline claims faster, faster claim submissions, especially from a cloud-based system, because built inside of the iClaim system is embedded is a clearinghouse, which means that we're able to file claims faster. We can see if there's any errors before they're actually sent. If there is a claim that gets denied, we can correct it right there at the clearinghouse level. Folks, there's a lot of things there that help that out. And then finally, increased collections means that we're getting the doctor paid instead of losing 20 to 30%, we're actually gaining that up for the doctor. So instead of only collecting about 70% of everything that they bill out, we're collecting 90 to 95 to 98% on any collections there. So that's where it kind of comes into play. Now, this next little chart here kind of shows a side by side that if the doctors are having to pay for staff in the office and then pay for all the extra things that are wrapped up in your outsourcing cost, because a lot of that can be absorbed in the outsourcing cost. Folks, you can see the difference here. I mean, it could be costing a doctor anywhere as let's say the low 60s, 70s, up to high 95 to $100,000 a year just to get billing done in-house. Versus if they just had it outsourced, the same amount of type of claims that are being produced out of that first column is the same thing if they had it outsourced with obviously almost half of that. All right, finally, the cost benefits analysis and return on investment status or success here. So let's kind of get through this and I'll finally get to some of your questions here. And then we'll wrap up today. So the average claims of reductions becomes less than 2%. So that's what I mentioned to you just a moment ago. So just think about it. Most doctors, and we'll find this out because there's a practice analysis that's going to be done. On the average, I think what we've seen anywhere from on the average when we're doing a practice analysis on a doctor's office, that's one of the questions that we're asking. What is your current rejection rate? Typically, it's going to run anywhere from the double-digit numbers to the 15, 20. That can be high, but sometimes it's around 10 to 12, 13. So it kind of fits within that area. Still, that's less, they're only collected about 80 to 90% of their money. We can show them by utilizing the iClaim program processing that we do in iClaim that we can really reduce those claims by 2% down to 2% or less than 2%. So that's a big thing there on cost benefits, and a return on their investment. Because really, outsourcing to you is an investment, and they're trying to figure out what's the ROI on it and what's the success rate going to look like. So the boosting revenue and profitability through efficient billing, and then finally, improved patient satisfaction. So folks, you don't realize that a doctor can lose business because the patients are not satisfied with what they're getting out of their doctor's office, which means that they're going to lose business. So if the patients are happy and they don't mind going to that doctor's office, and it's like scheduling. The thing that I hate probably the most if I go to a doctor's office, and one that will make me start looking for a different doctor, is if I go there, my appointment's at 11, and I don't get called back until 12, 12:15, 12:30. Now, listen, we all have an expectation that they can be running behind. But when they start running an hour to an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes behind, I'm already looking for another doctor. Okay. There's always a buffer there that you want to give that doctor some time and understand that those things are going to happen. But then on the other hand, when they finally do call you back, you don't want to feel like you're cattle either. You want that nurse and that medical assistant and obviously the doctor at that point to make sure that they're taking the amount of time. So if you've ever been to a doctor's office where you're called, you are on time, you know that if you're late, that they're probably going to cancel that appointment and charge you for that missed appointment. Secondly, you sat there, you weren't late, you were there on time. Then you sit there an hour, hour and a half. Then they get you back to the room, and then they only spend 2 to 3 minutes with you, and you just go, this this is not good for me. So patient satisfaction is dropping through the floor. Okay. So one of the things that can happen with iClaim and EMRX, we can make sure that doctors are staying on time through their scheduler because they're seeing their patients efficiently and it's producing good patient satisfactions. So we want to make sure that we help those doctors increase their patient outcomes and satisfaction. So that's part of it. So I mentioned to you just a minute ago that we're going to teach you and show you how to go through this analysis, this cost benefit analysis. Why would a doctor want to start outsourcing out to you in the first place? Well, that all starts off with doing what's called a practice analysis. Now, this is part of your package here. Your training is going to take you through it. You'll be able to walk through this in no time flat. Matter of fact, most of you could probably get through training the first week and have this ready to go and have it underneath your belt and, be able to walk through this as like you've been doing it for a long time. But what it will produce is information that you'll put into a practice revenue report. And this is where the selling just goes out the door because you're not selling anything. Basically, what you're showing is, doctor, here's where you are and here's where you could be. Now, the great thing about it is the doctors kind of operate that way already. When we go to the doctor tells me, Eric, here's where you are. You're sick. But if you take this medicine or you do these protocols, this is where you can be. Okay. That's the same thing that we're going to be doing with a doctor. It's basically showing them where their diseases are in their cash flow and then showing them, obviously, doctor, if you change what you're doing, it's like, how often have you gone to the doctor and the doctor says, look, if you'll just exercise more and you stop eating all those chips and stop eating, all this processed food, your blood pressure is going to drop, you're going to lose weight, and you're going to do all these things. And then the doctor sees you again, says, you know what, if you would do this and get your cholesterol down and you stop eating all this bad food, you can see it's kind of like we go to the doctor expecting a different outcome because all we want them to do is give us a pill and not change our habits. That's what we're trying to teach the doctors. Doctors, if you'll change your habits, we're going to be able to get you down to less than a 2% rejection rate. And doing that process, how about that gains back another $10,000 a month in your cash flow? Folks, you don't have to sell that to a doctor. The doctor's going to see, though, that's clear. Even if you could get half of that to me, I'd be happy. So that's what this is what this whole process is. So, what I'm going to go through this one more time with you and just kind of rehearse some of the things that we discussed today. We talked about, again, just navigating through that healthcare landscape. So hopefully I gave you some information today that you didn't know anything about. Okay. We talked about compliancy and risk mitigation, and you can see here you've got a solution through this business model that you'll be able to offer doctors. Financial impact, the improvement of revenue cycle management, how that impacts. You can help them with that, and then that cost benefit analysis, that questionnaire that I just showed you with. So, folks, these are the reasons why we feel like doctors are still prime to get their billing outsourced to a company like what you can have through here at American Business Systems. So, all right, we got about less than 15 minutes left here in our webinar hour here. I'm going to go back and start paying attention to some of the questions. So I'm going to start back up at the top and kind of work my way down because there was a lot of questions that were coming in, and I want to make sure that we get to those. Okay, somebody said they got a drop. Looking forward to hearing the recording. So David, I know you had to go, so appreciate you letting me know that. Andres is asking, what will be the name of our business? Will it be American Business Systems? No, you don't want it to be American Business Systems. You can name that business whatever you'd like. Because remember, you're going to be a part of, again, of an organization called MIRMA. That is this slide right here. You get Medical Revenue Management Association of America. Now, you can carry the MIRMA logo with your particular name on it. So my billing company used to be called Providence MBA, and I was a part of MIRMA. I carried that logo. So you can see what that is. You wouldn't want to have your business name the same thing as American Business Systems. Okay. Andre's also, so we learned coding. Yeah, you'll learn some coding. You'll learn some of the basics of coding. So absolutely, yeah, you're going to do that. Melee's got several questions here. So I'm going to take them just kind of like in order here so I can kind of get through them as quickly as possible. Melee is asking, Um, how do I win the confidence of a doctor? Oh, yes, part of, yeah, building that credibility with Myrma. Yes, that's correct. The book you gave me, the 20 copies. So mainly you must already be a business owner to distribute in my name. How does the doctors believe I wrote it? Okay. I don't have that slide deck in here about the book that we're talking about, but there's a book called The New Thriving Medical Practice. And what Melee is asking there, for those that haven't seen this before, is that you get to write the forward to the book. Now we have a templated forward to the book already. You can go in there and tweak it if you want to. A lot of people like to. I did. I like to kind of make it a little bit more my own language. But it's just information there that is already there in a summary format that you will be the author of the forward to the book. So that's one of the ways that credibility works for you in your favor there. Here, lots of ABS students reject doctors as they don't want to take doctors. Can they pass on those to me? I don't know about a lot of doctors being rejected here. So again, just get back with your business coach that you might be working with here. Um, is there a demo to Dynamax Alliance? Yes, yeah. Just get back with your business coach here. We won't do that demonstration. We'll have to get our technology partner to walk you through that part of it. But yeah, we can get you a demonstration of that software. Andre is asking a cost benefit analysis. How can we help doctors' patient satisfaction? How can we control that? Well, again, um, when a doctor doesn't have to worry about whether they're getting paid or not, certainly comes through when they're seeing patients. And like I said earlier, it's, are they running their office efficiently? Part of putting them on iClaim and EMRX is getting them to get their office to run better and more efficient. So, and part of it is that you're not just, don't, I always consulted with doctors. Sometimes I'd go in there and just sit there for a couple of hours and watch what's happening with patients. And obviously, whenever I'm contracted with them and I've got certain things that are signed that allows me to be in their office, shoot, man, I'll sit there and observe and give some feedback to doctors all the time. So that's the way I did it. Mele, is that, can I consult IT consulting? Can can my IT consulting work for many years, including data security, add any experience? Of course it can. I mean, because you know the dangers. So I think knowing what the dangers are, and then you can express to a doctor what our system and what it does and how it protects patient information. I think it's great for you to be able to use your experience. I use my experience all the time. So I'm just a young 62-year-old at this point, just turned 62 a couple of weeks ago. But these gray hairs, I earned them. So listen, anything that I've learned in the past that I can share with anybody, including yourselves, that's why we're here, why we do what we do. Let me tell you quickly about our 30-day money-back guarantee. Most of you might already know about this, but it's simply stating that once you have decided to invest in yourself through American Business Systems and you sign that paperwork, that's not the end, okay? We have always felt, because we understand as family members here, um, the importance of you and your money. Okay, so I'm just talking with you straight up here. We know that you probably worked very hard to raise that $30,000, or use credit cards or however you're going to end up doing that. We don't want you to feel like you're losing anything, losing that money. And we want to give you an opportunity to sit through our training, get all the materials that we have here at American Business Systems, and still make a decision to see if this business is right for you. My dear friend Patrick Phillips would always tell me and people, look, I would rather part with you as friends than create enemies. And so we all thought he was nuts about doing this, but this is something that has been instilled. It's within the very fibers of American Business Systems. Folks, we were taking the biggest risk here because we know that you could sit through our training, go through our training, learn all of our trade secrets. You can learn everything that we teach you, and just decide, you know what, I'm going to go do this on my own. I got my free training. I kind of know what the inside scoop is now. Folks, that's between you and your own conscience at that point. But we want to give you a 30-day money back guarantee, which means at the end of 30 days, once you completed those training, because training is going to take you about 2 weeks to get through, you still have another couple of weeks to make that decision. And at the end of that 30 days, you feel like this is not the right business for you, call up your sales rep you've been working with. We'll arrange a refund, make sure we get all the materials back from you, and you're good to go. Nevin says I look like an old man. I do, man. I am an old man. I'm getting there, finally. Gosh, can you believe it? I'm like 3 years away from Medicare myself. So that's the wild part about everything. All right, let me tell you some of your next steps that you need to do. All right, if you haven't gotten from your sales rep already, uh, go get a research guide. Okay, that research guide is about 65 pages long. It's got a ton of information in it. You're going to want to get that, put it in your file, everything that you're trying to look through. And whether you're looking at our organization or other organizations, just go through all that. You can get all that taken care of. The next thing you want to do is go through our YouTube channel. Go through that. Go to youtube.com/YABS. You can see here, I've got a QR code. You can actually go watch this one this afternoon. Can you succeed with ABS training program? You want to know about the training program? Take out your phones right now, hit that QR code and go straight to it right after this webinar. If you just want more information from me, you want to watch me for another hour, go watch me, go get some popcorn and do it all over again. So this is something you can go do. But we've got hundreds, literally hundreds, if not thousands of webinar that we've done in the past. Then get with your sales rep here at ABS and tell them that you want to talk with some business owners. The great thing about these business owners, these are going to be your business coaches after you join us here at American Business Systems. So you're going to want to meet these people before you get started. So give these folks a call. I've already mentioned to you about setting up a live demonstration with your sales rep. For those that want to see the Dynamax, just get back with your sales rep and get that coordinated. They'll be happy to help you out with that. Get a copy of the purchase agreement. It's going to send you a link, kind of about 5 pages long. You can read through it, let your attorney look at it, let your CPA look at it, look at whoever else you want to look at it. It's not those big packets that you get from franchises. It's 5 simple pages of information there. And then lastly, get signed up and get your funding in, and let's get you trained. All right. Andres is asking, how do I get a sales rep? Hey, I'm here. I'll be your sales rep. No, we've got great sales reps people here. You can contact us here at 866-565-8413. If you don't get a hold of anybody and leave a message, oh, there you go. Nevin says you're mine. Andres, he's going to contact you. Nevin's going to contact you. So you're good to go. So you're going to be taken care of. All right, folks, the other thing I want to remind you of is that on our website at the top right-hand corner, if you haven't seen it, you can see the big little magnifying glass that I got right there. Go over there and click download our 5 secrets to success. You're going to have to put your name and email address in there. Don't worry about it. We already have it from you already. That's how you got signed up today for the webinar. Go get it. There's some 5 steps to showing you success on getting started, but there's some also great white papers in there from our current business owners. So you're not going to want to miss that out. So, all right, folks, give us a call here. If you don't know who you need to talk with, give us a call. We'll help you out with that. Be happy to do that. Or email us at info@absystems.com. All right, so folks, we've got a great lineup. Don't go yet. I'm going to share with you some information I shared with Adam the other day. Just kind of give you a quick rundown of what to expect the next couple of weeks. Okay. So today we just did our top reasons why why it's a benefit for doctors to outsource their billing. Next Wednesday, we're going to do what is the profitability of medical billing. So we're going to be talking about how much you can make. So you may not want to miss that one. January the 22nd, we're going to be doing a webinar topic on ABS's training. Why is it superior? Okay. And then the last Wednesday of the month, you're not going to want to miss that one there either. That's going to be Adam and Jason. They're going to be just a full webinar, full hour Q&A. No particular topics, just come with all your questions. So they'll be here to help out with that. And then, like I said, that first Wednesday of February. I'm trying to find that date for you real quickly if you want to write that down as well. I think it's the 5th, February the 5th. I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Vicki Rackner. So you're not going to want to miss those. Good lineup of material that we got coming up. So hopefully you'll sign up for all of them. If not, become an ABS business owner already. Hey, folks, it's a pleasure. I got less than 50 seconds to say this. Come on board with us. We'd love to have you on board with us here at American Business Systems. We kind of know what we're talking about here. I don't know anybody else that's going to give the information that we gave you today from any other business opportunity, especially in medical billing. This is what we do. We love it. We're all experts in it. We own our own medical billing companies. So, folks, we've been there, we've done it, and love to support you and help you out. It's been a pleasure. Again, I want to wish you another happy new year. Hope 2025 is a great success for those that are looking to try to get started in a new business. Look at us and join us. I think you'll be happy with us. So, again, if you got any questions, get back with your sales rep, and we will see you next Wednesday. Y'all have a good night, everybody. Good night. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Andres. And thanks, Nevin. Y'all have a good afternoon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.